The Latin Epirot War was a military conflict that took place in the 14th century in the region of Epirus, located in the western part of present-day Greece. The war was fought between two competing factions, the Latin nobility and the native Epirot population, and was fueled by a mix of economic, political, and cultural tensions. The conflict began in 1318 when the Latin nobility, who had been ruling over Epirus since the Fourth Crusade in the 13th century, decided to increase taxes on the local population in order to fund their own military campaigns. This decision was met with widespread resistance from the Epirot people, who were already struggling under the burden of previous taxes and economic pressures. In response, the Epirot population organized themselves into a militia and launched a rebellion against the Latin nobility. Led by local leaders such as John Orsini and Nicholas Orsini, the Epirots were able to gain control of several key cities and fortresses in the region, including Ioannina and Arta. The Latin nobility responded by hiring mercenaries and seeking support from neighboring rulers, including the Byzantine Empire and the Kingdom of Naples. However, their efforts were largely unsuccessful, and the war continued for several years, with both sides suffering heavy losses. One of the most significant battles of the Latin Epirot War was the Battle of the Achelous River, which took place in 1359. The battle was fought between the forces of John II Orsini, who had taken control of Epirus after the death of Nicholas Orsini, and the army of the Serbian Empire, which had allied with the Latin nobility. Despite being heavily outnumbered, the Epirot forces were able to win a decisive victory, which marked the beginning of the end for the Latin nobility in Epirus. Over the next few years, the remaining Latin strongholds fell to the Epirot rebels, and by 1366, the Latin rule over Epirus had effectively come to an end. The Latin Epirot War had significant consequences for the region, including the establishment of a new Epirot state under the rule of the Orsini family. The war also contributed to the decline of the Latin Empire, which had been established in Constantinople after the Fourth Crusade, and paved the way for the eventual Ottoman conquest of the region in the 15th century. Today, the Latin Epirot War is remembered as a key moment in the history of Epirus and Greece, and serves as a reminder of the complex and often tumultuous relationships between different cultures and peoples in the region.